Another really monster coin. Super, super, super cool.
But it's too bad that it got ruined now.
Oh man, I mean, this is like, again, the Rarity 7 brand name coin. I'm gonna give myself a big old pat on the back. Hey everyone, Noah from Rarity 7 with my business partner Owen Seymour back to show you in this video another 40 some odd awesome new coins. We've been doing this a bunch now. We're getting into a rhythm. We love it. We're gonna show and tell some amazing new coins, talk about them, go over their history, show them on camera, and have a good time nerding out about coins. So stick around and enjoy the show. Okay, we're going to dive in. First, an important message. This video has just gone live and all of these coins are now for sale on the Rarity 7 website. If you want absolute first shot on when both the video goes live and on buying the coins, just be sure to sign up for our email list. There's a link down in the description on doing that. We do not spam. We do not send a lot of emails. Just once every couple weeks when a new video and or batch of coins goes live. And with that, let's jump into some coins. All right, first coin we're going to look at, we're going to go slightly out of Red Book order, but I didn't want to wait till the end to show this because it's so cool. We got ourselves a really awesome Feuchtwanger cent. I believe that is the right pronunciation of that. This is a gem MS65 with CAC approval. Owen, you found this coin with one of our wonderful wholesale dealers that we work with. And I don't think CAC is stickering Feuchtwanger cents anymore. So this is one of those coins like some of the colonials that we've shown in the past. You can't get these with stickers. You got to get the pre-made stickers. And here's one of them. Tell me what drew you to this coin when you saw it, why you grabbed it. I mean, it sort of speaks for itself, but I want to hear in your words.
Yeah, I think when I'm looking at these and I'm looking for a high-end one, what I'm looking for is a lot of luster. So these are silver in color, but are not made of silver. They're made of kind of a white metal, which is like a blanket term of some alloy of base metals. And they don't really hold up that well over time. They tend to come really dull. They're really prone to environmental issues. So one like this that has full cartwheel luster is really exceptional. Second to that, you're looking for a full strike. This one doesn't have a perfect strike, but it's a heck of a lot better than most. And it's certainly really clean in terms of abrasions. So this one kind of checked all my boxes for me. And CAC agrees, they approved it. So a really nice gem example of this rare type.
Yeah, and it hasn't been like the color is super original on this. And as I pull on the camera, you can see there's just a touch of weakness on the high points of that coin. And you'd want to see the strike to be a little fuller to get into that 66 or 67 range. But man, I mean, a gem, these, you know, we've handled a bunch of these. This is the second gem we've ever had. And most of these come in, you know, XF or, you know, AU grades. So a really, really lovely, lovely pick. NGC with that green CAC sticker. So nice work, Owen. Thanks. Okay, now we'll go into proper Red Book order. Let's start with an Indian cent, 1859 in AU 55. This was a transition design. The reverse looks a little different than what you would see. Slab's a little, we'll polish this slab up before we sell it. But interesting, different reverse. And tell us about this coin, Owen.
Yeah, so this is, like you noted, this is the first year of Indian head cents. The reverse is unique to this year. It does not have the shield there at the top. So later on, they added the shield to the reverse. So this is technically a one-year type because of the reverse die. And this is not a registry, you know, not going to break any registry set records, but it's a nice, affordable kind of collector grade of this one-year type. So we're happy to have it in inventory.
Yeah, I really like it. It's got a nice look to it. And if I remember correctly, copper nickel composition, is that right?
Yep, these are copper nickel.
Okay, and so you'll note, for those who are not super familiar with the series, does not get a brown, or red designation because copper nickel tends to basically stay the same color and doesn't tone in the same way. So on copper nickel coins, you will not get that designation. It'll just be a straight numerical grade, even up through, you know, 67, 68. It's just a straight one on that. So a nice introductory example of a 1859 first year Indian cent. All right, well, our third coin is another example of a copper nickel Indian head cent. This is an 1863 MS62 with CAC approval. And another beautiful example, this one now we're into fully uncirculated. And you can see we've moved to the traditional Indian cent reverse with that shield. Some nice luster, no color designation because it's a copper nickel coin. Owen, tell me about this. I have a couple questions. First off, what drew you to this coin? Second, why is this a 62 instead of a 61 or a 63? What would you want to see to get it into those different grade levels? And, why is this a CAC approved coin versus not? I think there's a lot of great questions to go through on this.
Yes, what drew me to this one, it just stands out to me as a really affordable type coin. So if you're putting together a type set, you're going to need a copper nickel Indian head cent. And if you're putting together, an uncirculated CAC approved set of type set, this is going to be, I think, the most affordable coin you're going to find for the copper nickel Indian head cent slot. I think this one's a really good example of a 62. It has just the right amount of luster. I think that's kind of like the primary grade determining factor on this one. It has a little bit of dullness, right? It's not a 70. It's not even a 65 or a 4. So it's a little bit dull, but you do still see at the peripheries here. It's a good amount of luster clinging on. I think to be much lower, it would have, less or perhaps no luster. And to be much better, I think this is all there in terms of abrasions to be a higher grade. But I think this one would need a little more flash to be a higher grade.
Awesome. A beautiful coin and a nice choice. And thanks for finding this for us. Well, let's move into high gear on this one. This is one of our highlight coins of this group. Here is the key date. Indian head cent, 1877 in MS64 red brown with a CAC sticker. There's a lot to talk about with this coin. It is an amazing coin. If you know your Indian head cent, this is not an inexpensive coin. It's the key date, the 1877, a beautiful example with very, very flashy luster. And, CAC approved MS64 red brown, not an inexpensive coin, but an absolutely beautiful example of this. And there's a lot of history going on with this coin, Owen. I will leave it to you to tell the story. You found this coin, and we can talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, we've bought this coin as an NGC 65 RB with a CAC sticker. And I remember we were at the show that we bought it at, and we thought, well, we'll just cross it, but we didn't have enough coins for crossover submission. So we just cracked it thinking it was harmless. And it went MS64 red brown. And for the life of us, we cannot get it back into a 65 RB holder.
Yeah.
I think we've tried it at every service since, and it won't work. And I don't really know what else to say. I guess I'm wrong on this one. It sure looks like a 65 to me. It didn't even really I didn't hesitate to crack this one to cross it, which was obviously an error. So our loss is your gain on this one.
And it's funny because, this one, I want to go to the meta a little bit on this. We are not ashamed or embarrassed to admit when we're wrong on coins. I think every major, dealer and grader and upgrader and all the people who play the game love to pretend that they're flawless and perfect and never make mistakes. And, this coin was a MS65 red brown with a CAC sticker, which means NGC graded it 65, CAC gave it a 65, and everybody wants to call it a 64 now. In fact, we even sent it to CAC grading and they called it a 64. We sent it back to NGC with the MS65 tag and they called it a 64. So it ends up, I guess the world has changed the grading standards in the other direction. This coin is an MS64 red brown, and we're okay with admitting it. We're going to take a little loss on it. It's still a beautiful coin. And I don't want our story, our failure story, to kind of take away from the fact that this is a really gorgeous coin. It's a beautiful, compared to the other 64s out there, this is like as high end as it gets. And Owen and I were talking about this the other day. I think if you pull in, I'm pulling in on the camera here, I think what's really holding the coin back, color there, strike, is the area where we're a little bit weak. You can see those feathers are just the tips of the feathers are just a little bit weak. And I think the grading services would want to see more detail in those tips of the feathers to get to a full 65. They may have been more flexible in the past and the standards have changed. But in terms of luster, absolutely there for a gem. In terms of color, solidly red-brown. And I just think we just would need a hair stronger strike to get back into the modern standard 65. But in terms of color, luster, super strong 64. And whoever ends up putting in this into their collection will be very, very happy with this coin. A really, really beautiful one. Let's move to Lincoln cents. Lincoln cents are a little easier to deal with. We've got two 14Ds. We have a NGC F15 brown, and we're now fully into the, standard copper alloy, where we have red, brown, and red color. This one has a little bit of that wood grain on the reverse, just a touch of it, not distracting or problematic. An NGC solid F15 CAC, and then we have a PCGS in a VF35 CAC. Beautiful contrast on the obverse and reverse on this coin, slightly higher grade, and a really, really pretty example. These are, I would not classify either of these two coins as particularly rare. They are scarce. They are the semi-key dates of the Lincoln Cent series. We've talked about this before here at Rarity 7. We do like to cover our key dates and semi-key dates for everybody and find nice CAC examples of it, and these two fit the bill for that. Okay, next on the agenda is a 13S Type 2 Buffalo nickel in PCGS AU58 with a CAC sticker. This is a really interesting coin. Owen and I were actually just talking off camera about the history of Buffalo nickels. This is one of the keyer dates, semi-key dates of the Buffalo nickel series. It's an interesting coin. I'll let Owen talk about it. I'll give you a quick history of this coin. I bought this from a dealer buddy of mine who sold it to me without a CAC sticker, and he liked the coin a lot, and he charged me a lot for it. And he said this coin could be an unk and should get a sticker. And so he beat me up on it, and thankfully I liked it as well. It's got nice color. It's got real original luster on there, and just a little bit of high point rub. 58 is the exact right grade, and it's stickered, so I'm very happy to offer it here. So Owen and I were talking. Owen, you want to share a little bit about, Buffalo nickels are an interesting series because when you think of key date, in my mind, I think of the 37D 3-legger, I think of the 18/17, which is a very famous rarity, the 16 double die. But in terms of like actual regular mintage coins, I actually was not aware of what the key date was. I knew that the 13S Type 2 was tough. Owen, you want to talk a little bit about the series in general?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to put together an uncirculated set of Buffalo nickels, that's like a pretty brave endeavor. A lot of the dates are kind of sleepers. Most of the Philadelphia dates are like available. They're out there. A lot of them can be had for a few $100s in uncirculated grades, like 1925, for example. But pretty much all the mint mark dates from the teens and 20s are pretty tough, especially the 20s S mints. The 26S is the key of the series. That's a few $1,000s in just 58 alone, and more so in uncirculated grades. A really tough set, and this is kind of like a middle of the road coin. So this is a transitional year. Type 2 refers to the recessed area below the denomination on the reverse. Type 1, they put the denomination on a really raised mound, which turns out was not smart because as the coin wears, the denomination, which tells you how much this coin is worth, is the first thing to wear off. So they fixed that by putting it in a recessed mound here. That's Type 2. So a pretty scarce first year coin here.
Super cool. And, and a beautiful example of a coin. We'll talk a little bit, actually, I'm going to switch over and talk a little bit about with some data here. I actually think it's super interesting. One of the things that's fascinating about the Buffalo nickel series, the 26S is one of the super rarities, and I'm just kind of, or rather one of the tougher dates. One thing that's super interesting is when you get into mint state condition, like MS65. I mean, the 26S in MS65 has a great sheet value of $60,000. It is an incredibly rare and tough coin in gem. And the price difference between PCGS and NGC and CAC, this is where you start to see like insane differences. So I'll just give you some like very recent examples. The most recently sold PCGS MS65 sold for $80,000 at auction. The most recent NGC MS65 literally sold for half of that, $40,000. And then the most recent sale of a CAC approved MS65 was $199,000. I was going to say over 100, but just barely, 99,000. And then when you get into 65 plus, Legend Auction sold a 65 plus for $246,000. That's the top pop. There are 4 PCGS 65 pluses. So these S Mint Buffaloes get into incredibly tough and rare territory when you get up there. So anyway, we'll carry carry some of them eventually. It's certainly a fun example of a series where it gets pretty exciting in some of those grades. Well, let's move to another coin that is really exciting, and I'm really, really excited about showing this coin to you guys. Here is a 75S 20-cent piece, MS64 Plus with a CAC sticker. This coin looks like a Morgan dollar. This has headlights, flashy blast white, but original satiny surfaces. I was really, really excited about this coin. And I'm excited for a few reasons. I found this, I was hunting old estate sales, and I found this coin in an old crusty NGC holder. Also a 64 plus, no CAC sticker. And, I sent this over at one of the recent PCGS events for crossover with another coin, thinking there was no chance that this one would cross. An NGC 64 plus older holder, not like the good older holder, the white labels, but kind of that era where a lot of NGC coins can be overgraded. And it crossed. And PCGS loved the coin, and I sent it to CAC, and they stickered it. So this turned into a surprising win for us. I wasn't expecting it. But when you look at the coin and you really understand it, it's all there. It doesn't have that burnt, overly blasty appearance. So it's just got a really nice original look. Oh, and do you like this one? Did I do all right on this one?
Yeah, this coin's killer. I think you nailed it. It looks like a Morgan dollar. It looks like an ADS dollar or something. And it just has killer luster, just really spectacular for the type. I think it's apparent the coin was treated at some point probably to remove some color. But we've talked on this channel before that there are like right and wrong ways to dip a coin. You touched on it briefly when you said burnt. If you dip a coin improperly, it can burn, meaning that like it'll inflict this like opaque, unremovable film onto the surface. It's actually into the metal, so it's not removable. But if you do it right, and the coin's a good candidate, and you do it right, and it comes out good, this is what it looks like. So this coin was not harmed in any way. It was just, the environmental tone to it was removed, so it came out looking great. Incredible luster, excellent strike. Really killer coin.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's really important for people to learn, and this is something I didn't learn until relatively recently, when we talk about skin on a coin, this is an example of a coin with really good skin. If you just look in this video, and this video really shows, and you see how when I gently rotate it, how that color, that white flash of luster is almost satin looking, silk or satin looking, with a nice sheen on it. It's not flat, it's not too bright, it's not too reflective. Satin is really the term that I would use, and it's that original mint luster that you get on a coin like this. So really, really excellent skin on it, and I'm incredibly pleased with how that coin came out. Well, we're back to another really monster coin. And I'm excited for us to be able to share that this is now the fourth 1796 quarter that we have been able to offer in as many months. Rarity 7 is becoming the 1796 quarter shopping department. And this is another really, really fun one. We've had a couple in hand, and we've been really, really lucky to be able to offer these coins. And I'm really excited by it. And I'll tell you a little bit about Owen. Maybe you can share with us, let's show the reverse a little bit. I think the reverse looking certainly a little weaker than the obverse. But I'll tell you, AG3, Owen, tell me how this turns out in the grading room, because that obverse looks a heck of a lot better than AG3.
Yeah, I agree. This obverse here is obviously fully good, meaning that this obverse alone would grade, good 4 or good 6 if we were just going by the front. And that's indicative, or that's apparent rather, because there's no like rim blending or anything. There's no excessive wear. Heck, even the dentals all the way around are fully legible. A nice solid date. The devices are fully outlined, even some hair detail. So a great obverse, but like you noted, the reverse definitely has much more significant wear. There's a lot of rim blending. There's some major detail loss in the centers. So I think while Noah and I would both prefer the coin to have full rims on both sides, it'd be a lot more expensive if it did. So they always say that the obverse is the money side. So I think you're getting a fully good obverse here for AG money.
Yeah, and so am I assuming correctly? This was net graded. This is like a fully good obverse and like a fair reverse, and they just netted it down to AG. Is that right?
Yeah, sort of. it's generally a rule in U.S. coins that if there's rim blending on any side, that you don't want to be good or higher. You want to restrict the coin to AgO3 if there's rim blending. There's some lenience on that for like 18th century silver, like we have here. But I think this is just a little too much in the reverse. So yeah, I think that between the reverse and the obverse, it kind of averages out as an O3.
Right. And as you've taught me, Owen, the reverse can hurt a coin. It generally can't help a coin. And so here's an example where the reverse pulled down the grade and hurts the coin a little bit. But, as it comes to 1796 quarters, we have this priced very, very aggressively. And I think you could argue that this is going to be one of the most value price, if I dare say that about a 5-figure coin, 1796 quarters. And if you're looking to put one in your typeset or put it in a Dansko album where you're mostly going to be looking at the obverse, I mean, this is an absolute winner of a coin. So for the money and for the quality of the coin overall, we think this is a winner. And of course, if you have 1796 quarters, please do offer it to us, because we seem to be building a market in 1796 quarters. So certainly a lot of fun. Well, let's move to another kind of rare and interesting and esoteric variety. Here is a 1854 O seated Liberty quarter, the huge O variety. And I love that they just throw this right on the label. It's not large O, it's not enlarged O, it's just huge O. And so this is a really, really tough variety. And obviously we'll show the massive O on the reverse. Owen, can you tell us a little bit about this? Did they use a $50 mint mark, or what happened here?
I'm not actually sure which punch this mint mark should have belonged to. You're probably right in that it was likely a $50, but I'm not honestly certain. So what this refers to is that the mint mark here in the reverse, the O for New Orleans, is way larger than a normal quarter punch. So if you go and look up a 54.0 quarter, most of them are much cheaper than this coin and have a much smaller mint mark. But this is a very rare and desirable variety. And collectors are willing to pay massive premiums for this scarce one. So definitely happy to have this in inventory.
Yeah, and this is actually, especially with CAC approval, they are really, really tough. So it's a rare variety. It's a rare variety with CAC approval, and this is one of the better graded ones out there, a VF35. Fun fact, we actually bought this from a collector who we originally sold it to. This was a coin that we used to own, and this is very common in this business. He just was rotating out some of the coins in his collection and decided that he was going to sell this back to us, so we bought it back. We will buy back any coin we ever sell to anyone at any time, basically. We always stand behind all the coins that we sell. So this is now the second time that we've owned this super variety, and I got it reholdered and in a fresh holder and a fresh CAC sticker, so it looks, it's fresh and nice. So a really, really interesting one. I'm going to go out of Red Book order again, just because I want to stick with quarters. Oh, and here's a really fun coin that you found for us. Here is a Hawaii quarter PCGS MS62 with a really, really lovely look. And we've had Hawaii dollars on here before and not quarters. Can you tell us a little bit of the history of these? I don't know a ton about them. I know that they are often collected by, U.S. collectors, though they are not regular issue federal coins. So can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, perfectly honest, I don't know their full history. I know that these were obviously struck before Hawaii gained statehood, long before it. They were struck by the United States Mint, I believe, in San Francisco, and then went onward to Hawaii to be used. And there was obviously a coinage shortage there, so this was supposed to be the antidote to it. They're widely collected by U.S. coin collectors today. They're not technically, like you mentioned, a standard issue federal U.S. coin, but they're included in the Red Book, so it's a very popular series. And they're really cool. I mean, a very cool design here. It's an old piece of uncirculated silver. I like this one because a lot of the lower end uncirculated coins have a lot of rub on them. I don't know that a lot of the 62 Hawaii quarters are actually uncirculated, but I think this one is. So it's definitely got some chatter going on, characteristic of a 62, but it's got nice full cartwheel luster, razor sharp strike. Nice eye appeal. I think it's a nice, wholesome original coin.
Yeah, I really like it. And, this has, MS62, as I have learned and you have taught me, Owen, is that, it can be, specific hits or marks. It can be dullness, or it can just be kind of a generalized friction. We see this a lot with, gold coins, an MS62 $3 gold or $1 gold coin, or actually any of really of the smaller gold coins. You'll see this kind of generalized friction. And that's what you see on this coin. So nothing distracting, unpleasant, really nice cartwheel luster, and I think a properly graded MS62. So apologies for going out of Red Book order, but we wanted to throw that quarter in there. So, well, let's move to half dollars, and we're going to go to one of my favorite half dollars in this batch. Oh, and here is a beautiful 1814 cap bus half AU50 with a CAC sticker. Oh, and you found this coin from us. You were hunting auctions. It did not have a CAC sticker when you found it. I think we both looked at this and said, man, this better sticker. And it did sticker. So this was a really, really great find of yours.
Yeah, I mean, this coin's just like perfectly original. A lot of viewers might note, this is a really, really late die state coin, meaning that this was struck like way at the end of this die's lifespan. So what you see here is a lot of strike weakness. So don't let that fool you and think it's a lower grade. I think without a sticker, a lot of people might say that this coin's XF, but you have to look at the luster. Look at the right and left peripheries. I mean, there's like real actual luster in there. That's not characteristic of like, a VF or even an XF bust half. So you have to kind of look at the best attributes of this. So like, look at the Eagle's right wing. I mean, it's really sharp and undeniably AU. And at the peripheries here, you can see the lettering almost kind of melting into the rim. That's die erosion. Again, characteristic of that late die state. That there is a die gouge, essentially an imperfection in the die. Yep. It has some gnarly die clashing going on. You can see that most below the bust on the obverse.
Right. That's right. I think we saw that. Yeah, there you go. Look at it. You can actually see the full clash in there. That's wild. Of the E pluribus unum.
So a really, really cool AU late die state early bust half dollar. This is one I would love to put this in my personal collection. This would go great.
This would look great in your coin cabinet. It would be awesome.
It would
You'd lose the CAC sticker. You'd have to crack it out, but it would look pretty awesome in there.
That's all right. We'd have to let it breathe.
Yeah. Well, we talked a little bit earlier about sometimes we have losses and we make mistakes. The following couple of coins are the exact opposite of that. And I'm going to give Owen a ton of credit on this. We went into we found an auction with a bunch of seated coins. And I'm just going to actually pull all of these out so I can show this, because this is, one of the things we've learned is that John is incredibly tough on seated coins, and we had an incredible run of wins. Oh, and you found a lot of these coins, and you said, you know what, these are like, I found these super original seated halves, and I'm really excited to share with this. So I'm going to run through them, and we'll talk about the whole group. First, we have a 410 VF35, an absolutely beautiful, perfectly original coin, and I think, extremely well deserving of the CAC sticker. And I'll run through all the coins then, Owen. I'd love to hear your commentary on some of them. After the 410, we have a really actually tough coin, a 420 small date reverse of 1839. This is actually a really, really tough variety. It is a major spec number, but it's an incredibly tough one. Again, just a perfect VF30, original color and skin. Very, very, very CAC worthy. Then we have a lovely 490, also VF35, a different look to it, but super original, also totally CAC worthy, and just a terrific looking coin. Another one of these sort of tougher O-mint coins. We have one that did not make sticker worthy, but you know what? Honestly, I love the coin. A 580 AU58. This is my personal favorite kind of look on these coins. I just love that like nice satiny original gunmetal luster look to it. A true 58. A little bit of a bummer that it didn't sticker, but you know what? In terms of like regular seated, this is pretty much as good as it gets. We had a 64 VF30 with a sticker, also that same kind of original circulated look on it. A really, really nice one. And after that, finally, this one is a mistake. I have to admit, I should have known better. This is a 78 in a VF VF25. And, as I was looking at this coming back from CAC, I just screwed up. I'm beating myself up on this. One of the things that John has taught us all in our CAC reveals is that you got to have full liberty for a VF, and this coin is missing the full liberty. And I just whiffed on it. I didn't notice that. So it should have been obvious to me. Color-wise, and skin-wise, I think it's fine. But after having gone through that review, Owen, let's talk about this. I mean, you found these coins, and you just knocked it out of the park on these.
Yeah, I was thrilled to find this handful here. Starting with this 1841-0, which I want to note, this coin is Lock XF. This is not VF. It has too much detail. Especially if you look at the reverse and everything, there's still like real luster clinging on at the reverse, the periphery. Look at the detail on the left wing. That's just not a VF eagle here.
I actually wrote a note on my notes on our internal inventory system. Owen says Lock XF, but we'll take the CAC sticker and sell as is. So we both predicted. I mean, this one, you just kind of look at it and you're like, in a VF, this has got to get a sticker.
I mean, we're going to be asking a lot of money for this one, but it's a lot of coin. It's just a fantastic look to it. Nice circam appearance, perfect skin, little bit of trace luster, which is just impossible on most VFs. Just an outstanding coin.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the 41-0.
Yeah, this one's really tough. This variety is tough. I actually didn't know how tough it was until we bought this one. But this coin's a few $1,000s, right? I was surprised by that. But much like the last coin, great look to it. This is more characteristic of a VF, if you ask me. A little bit of detail weakness there in the centers and everything. So I think that this is more characteristic of VF. And you can see the difference there in the eagle. So if you compare the prior coin, that's not to say that this one's overgraded, but I think it is to say the prior one is undergraded.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look at the level of detail on that eagle there, So I just think that's absolutely right. And this one is a 35 and that's a 30. So yeah, I mean, significant differences there. So a beautiful one. Okay, and then we'll move on to the 49-0.
Yeah, much like the last, this one doesn't have quite as perfect of a look, but still really, really nice. And 49-0 is a pretty tough date. They come with kind of an odd strike. They'll be weak at the head and then hammered at the shield. And then the reverse is usually really nice on 49-0. So if you look at the reverse of this, I mean, it's
yeah, look at that. Wow.
Kind of a strange striking thing here, but I like this one. It's nice and the detail is pretty even throughout. Again, great skin, nice original look to it. No signs of cleaning whatsoever. Totally original. Love this one too.
Yeah, hammered reverse, by the way. Both of those wings, I mean, tremendous amounts of detail compared to those last two coins that we looked at. So super hammered. And then our little 58-0, which, again, I just love the look of this coin. Unfortunately, it didn't sticker, but I mean, wow, what a great look.
Yeah, I think this, there's a lot of seated half dollars and 58 out there that are just dipped within an inch of their life.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them have that khaki kind of tannish burnt look to them, or they're just kind of cleaned really harshly yet still graded. This is not one of those coins. I mean, I think this coin just lightly saw commerce and it's available today as a 58. It's a really nice example of this, and I like it especially as a New Orleans man. It's just a cool coin.
Yeah, this is if I were collecting seated halves, I would go for this look. I just love the hints of luster. I'm a sucker for an authentic luster with a little bit of wear on it. So, and then here's our 64 in VF30.
Yeah, this one I really like this one. Nice Civil War era half dollar here. It's not a super low mintage, but these definitely saw a very high rate of attrition, meaning that half dollars are really, really needed in commerce at the time in the 1860s. And these were not shelved away out in banks or anything like that. I mean, these things saw heavy, heavy circulation. So the average 1864 half dollar is going to be an AG or a good, usually problematic, some kind of cleaning or scratches or something wrong with it. So to see one like this that's just mid-grade circulated with a really honest look is a real treat.
Super, super, super cool. And then I apologize for sending this one to CAC. I mean, I love the look, but I mean, I should have known better. But it's a really cool looking coin. This and a more common one, not an expensive coin.
Yeah, we got to note that's not the one that I bought.
Right. I did buy this one. That's right. I screwed that. Thank you for pointing out that I bought this one. I still like it. It's still a nice coin. But just and I think it's around $200. It's a really solid, and the look is great. It's just it's just would need a little bit of that meat to get into the CAC level thing. And we're pricing it like a regular coin, not like a CAC approved one. So, okay, well, back to coins that you bought then. Let's take a look at. I like that we have a little bit of competition about who buys what coin. Here's a pair of 21 Walkers that Owen bought, and neither of them stickered. So yeah. I'm just kidding. I really like both of these, by the way. I think they're both really, really cool. VF20 and a VF30. One of the better dates on the Walker series, both with an almost identical look to it. Look to them. 21 in a 20 with a really, really nice. I mean, this is the look on circulated Walker. The dark recesses of the tarnished silver and mixed in with all that sort of gunk that it picks up in commerce, and it gets stuck and creates this beautiful, nice aged original antique silver look. And then of course the 30, which I really, really like, even more of that even color and nice skin to it, and beautiful look. And you bought both of these, and I agree with this purchase. I would have bought exactly these two coins for the prices that we paid for them. Owen, you did great on them, even though we didn't get stickers on them.
Yeah, I like this pair. It's always nice to have $21.50 in stock. They're very sought after. Anybody who's doing a set of Walkers is usually going to want one of these for their set. So always desirable, always in demand. They never seem to last long in inventory for us.
Yeah, super cool coins. And now we'll go to the complete other end of the spectrum for the Walking Liberty half. This is an Owen purchase. Man, this coin is like, look at this, 34 MS65 CAC OGH. I mean, like the luster and like power on this coin. I was shooting this coin with Ashley the other day, and we didn't have to take anything more than a single picture. Like we took obverse reverse, slab obverse reverse. It looked perfect. And I always say the best coins are the ones that are the easiest to photograph. If you could just nail it on that first shot, you don't have to get the lights, just so it looks good at any angle. And OGH package, Owen, you did amazingly well on this one. I love this one you found for us.
Yeah, I love the aesthetic of like a green CAC sticker on a green PCGS label, and pair it with like a gem 1930s type coin. It's just an awesome package deal here. Like an OGH CAC approved type set, this would be an awesome Walking Liberty $50.
Super agree. Like really nicely done. Okay, well now we'll move to a coin where I'm going to give myself a big old pat on the back. One of the coolest coins in this bunch. This is our 1795 flowing hair dollar VF30 with a CAC sticker on it. Oh man, I mean, this is like, again, the Rarity 7 brand name coin, a beautiful original CAC approved $17.95. I get to pat myself on the back. I found this coin for us, and bought it, was very happy, paid strong for it, sent it to CAC, got a sticker, all of the bells and whistles on it. I mean, man, this coin kind of speaks for itself, right?
Yeah, this coin's awesome. Just a textbook VF example of a flowing hair dollar. I think it's worth noting that in the left obverse field, there's like this little squiggly. That is not a scratch or anything. That's a little die gouge. This is one of the most common obverse dies that you'll find on $17.95. So it's important to note that if that was a scratch, I would hope that CAC wouldn't have stickered it. It's not a scratch. The coin was straight. The moment it came off the dies, it had that. So be sure not to discount the coin because of that.
Yeah.
Wonderful detail throughout. Excellent circ cam look. Everything you could ask for.
Super excited with this one. And, don't buy this too quickly, ladies and gentlemen. I want to enjoy having this in inventory for a little bit, although I have a feeling the plea will fall on deaf ears and someone will click buy very rapidly on this. Well, we'll move to another fascinating example of a early dollar. Here is a 1798 Draped bust dollar, the 10 arrows variety, VF30 with CAC approval. This coin has some color on it. If any of you have a chance, PCGS really goosed it, but look up this serial number 401-29489 and check out the True View. The coin has like blues and reds if you hold it. I mean, you have to like really kind of get direct lighting. I don't like to take pictures of our coins with that almost like, they call it axial lighting, to really make the colors boost. It's how they shoot proof coins a lot, because it's just not how the coin actually looks in hand. I mean, the coin coin. This is what the coin looks like in hand. But if you want to see a fun picture of the coin, check out the true view of it. And it really kind of has that look of some of the really, really high grade mint state early coins that toned in a cabinet. But a fun Draped bust dollar with color and CAC approval. Owen, you know, you and I loved owning these coins and having them in stock. What do you think of this guy?
Yeah, this one's awesome. It's going to hurt to sell. It's worth noting that this has like real actual luster on the obverse. So a really interesting coin here. If you look at the stars and at the date, there's like luster clinging on.
Oh yeah, I mean for a VF, that's real. Like look at that. If you twirl it right here and the stars, you're 100% right. Real luster.
So that's really nice. A lot more detailed and characteristic of a 30. So I think it's not a stretch to say that this one is definitely conservatively graded. Nice color throughout, so stoked to have this one on the website.
Super, super, super cool. And let's go to another one as contrast. You know, this I think is really interesting. Here's a VF25 with a very different look than that 30. This one did not get a CAC sticker. It's a, I think this doesn't just quite have that perfectly original look that CAC likes. Although, having said that, I think there are some people who will prefer the look of this coin to the previous one. This one, you're going to see more of that cameo look with the lighter devices and darker fields. There's no color on this coin. This is just straight up, you know, darker battleship gray and lighter gray. And so a different look. And this is where you get into these like points of originality and technical grading that CAC really cares about versus, you know, market grading or what I think has consumer appeal. So I personally love this. I don't want to quite say that I prefer this to the other one because I think that would be a little bit of sacrilege, but from an eye appeal look, I kind of like this coin a lot. What do you think about it, Owen?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think from a technical standpoint, obviously the prior coin is better. But just in terms of like, arm's length kind of curb appeal, this one might face up a little bit better at first. I think, like you noted, it just kind of has like a more like monochromatic color throughout. Not the other one was kind of dark throughout. This one has like two tones. There's just like the light gray high points and the darker fields, and it kind of like accentuates the detail and makes it more legible. So I think despite being a little more circulated, it's almost looks more detailed at first. So I agree that this coin may be favorable to some people than the prior coin.
Right. And that's why we want to present some contrast here. So, that's pretty awesome. Okay, well, I'm extremely excited for the next two coins because these are the Owen Seymour specials, my favorite two coins that we can both enjoy a little bit of Owen crap talking. We have two Chopmarked trade dollars that I bought because Owen will never be caught dead buying a Chopmarked trade dollar. And I got CAC stickers on both of them. So let's take a look at these. First, we have a 74S. Notably, neither of these coins will be used as an ashtray. I think they are both properly coin-shaped, so you don't have to give them that negativity. Two big old chops on this one on the obverse and a big one on the reverse. It does have some nice dents. We always love dents on our coins. Nice original luster on this guy. And the 77S, maybe a little misshapen. Some pretty significant chops on the obverse, real cartwheel luster on this one, and then some pretty significant chops on the reverse. Oh, and tell me I'm slowly turning you into a Chopmarked trade dollar fan.
I'll give you this one. The coin on the left, the 55, probably was nice before it was ruined with the chop marks. And this one does have like a nice original look throughout. So I really dig the look of that one. But it's too bad that it got ruined now.
So ruined that it's got a beautiful green CAC sticker on it. And what do you think about this one?
This one I like even less. You noted that this one is a little more bowed. I'd have to agree. I don't know that this meets like ashtray quality, but you could definitely use it as a top. Maybe you can make bets on how long you could spin it for. That's probably the best use of this coin. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Oh, man. And once again, I'll probably be proven right as these both sell relatively quickly.
Oh, they're going to sell within an hour.
I love them. All right, moving into Morgan Dollar land. Here's a real fun one. Here's an 1878 8 tail feathers, and this is the VAM 14.15 lines in hair. A tough variety, actually, turns out, and a rare coin with CAC approval for those who are into the kind of weirder and rarer VAM varieties. This isn't one of the like super common VAMs that you see, like the Hot Lips, which we've talked about, the double die obverse, and some of those. But this is a tougher one. And, I mostly bought this coin not because it's a tougher VAM variety. I found this coin through a dealer friend that we work with a lot. I bought this coin because this has the perfect XF40 look to it. I love, we talked about that 580 seated half with that gunmetal look. I love XF Morgan dollars that look like this. And CAC does as well, so we tend to get stickers on coins like this. So I saw this coin, I said, okay, it's a slightly tougher variety. It's got the exact look that I love, and figured it was sticker worthy. And I sent it in, got the coveted left CAC sticker on it. So what do you think about this one, Owen?
Yeah, I agree with you. This is an excellent XF look. Not too dark or anything. No environmental issues, which is very, something you have to look out for on circulated dollars. If any viewers are confused about what the heck this label means, if you're not familiar, all the die pairings of Morgan dollars, meaning that the obverse and reverse dies, have all been kind of mapped out and given reference numbers. So that VAM 14.15 is the reference number for this coin. And it kind of has the moniker there of lines and hair. That's what they call this VAM number. So it's just referring to this specific die that was used to strike 1878 Morgans. And this is kind of a tougher one. To see lines and hair, you'd have to find some online resource. It's kind of hard to capture here on camera. But very collectible. There were some of the most widely collected varieties out there in US coins. There's a lot of really hardcore guys for these. So I bet that this one is probably going to go pretty quick.
Yeah, super cool coin, and just that perfect XF look. Thank you for that explanation. Well, you know that we're a fan of deep mirror proof like Morgans here at Rarity 7, so here's the first of a couple deep mirror proof likes that we've got. An 83064 deep mirror proof like with a CAC sticker. No question whatsoever that this coin is fully deep mirrors. We've talked a lot about that, and this coin has that black and white look that you absolutely want to see. No questions at all, whether it's proof-like or deep mirror proof-like, and makes the grade with CAC. What do you think, Owen?
Yeah, I think this one's pretty conservatively graded. You have to bear in mind that when it comes to these proof-like or deep mirror proof-like coins, because of how frosty the devices are, and because of how mirrored the fields are, that the marks on these coins are essentially accentuated throughout. So they kind of look worse than they really are. If this were like a nice matte, frosty looking coin, it would kind of wear those marks a little bit better. They wouldn't be as apparent. So you have to kind of be a little bit extra forgiving on these. It wouldn't shock me to see this coin in like a 65 holder. When I always say we do not mind stocking conservatively graded coins. So I think this is a really knockout example of a dimple Morgan dollar. I'd love to have this one in my own collection.
Yeah, super clean cheek. I bought this one because, you tend to, grades get hit often on the chatter in the fields and chatter on the cheek. And I like to get these coins with nice, uninterrupted, frosty cheeks so that you kind of have that full look. And I'll take a little bit of chatter. I mean, this coin does have a little bit of chatter in that field, but you're right. I would not be shocked to see this in a 65. And we'll get to a couple more dimples in a bit. We have the no boring Morgan dollar rule here at Rarity 7. We're going to try to avoid ever showing you a boring coin. So we'll continue with a couple that are not boring. Here's an 84S that is an AU55. 84S being one of those exponential growth dates, which is in mint state. These are incredibly rare and the price skyrockets. It's relatively reasonable in AU55. It becomes a $2,500 coin in AU58, and then it jumps way up when you get into MS60 and above. And you will see these in MS60 because, the prices are so dramatic in every single point that they go into mint state that the grading companies, I think, will be a little bit more fine-tuned on these. What do you think of this one in terms of how this looks for an AU55?
Yeah, I think it's a good example of a choice AU here. Plenty of luster throughout. On these mid AUs, you want to be wary of coins that have like an abundance of hairlines. It's important to keep in mind that, like, as these coins circulate, they're going to pick up a few hairlines. If you're putting a coin in and out of pockets and through counters and tills, they're going to get a few fine scratches on them. So it's important not to confuse those kind of like trivial coincidental lines with something that's been like intentionally done to the coin to make it look better than it is. So I think this is a perfect example of an original lustrous mid AU coin. And like you noted, this coin is interesting. They're a real conditional rarity. So they made plenty of them. They're very common in very circulated grades like VF or lower. But as soon as you get into AU, these really, really climb quickly, and every grade matters.
Yeah, super cool one. And I think in terms of like, if you want an 84S for your set, price wise, this is going to be, you know, a significant discount on a 58. And frankly, this has the luster and flash. I've seen 58s that look worse than this. I'll put it that way. So I think you can do a lot worse than a coin like that. It's really lovely. Well, let's go to a coin that is a little more about the package and the color than it is the coin itself. Now, I'm going to spend a very little amount of time on the obverse because I frankly do not love the obverse on this coin. There's an 84O MS63 Rattler first generation PCGS. Well, technically, I guess it's a 1.2. It's not the original Rattler. I don't love the obverse. The reverse, however, is fun on this coin. This is an example of a what I would call a mild toner. This is not one of the $4,000 or even $1,000 super hardcore toned coins. It's just got some light toning on the reverse, but you get real color. You know, there is a real blue. There's some oranges. There's some of the violets and purples in there. So it is a really, really fun looking coin. The obverse is a little blah. You know, the coin is original. It did tone because it sat in a bag, and so the obverse did not tone in as much of a fun way as the reverse. But you know, this is a really, I think, reasonably priced introduction into the world of toners, and of course, old holders. You've got this original PCGS Rattler, so a fun coin. And I think it was just kind of like a neat little addition, and I think it'll go well in someone's set of coins. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, like you said, I think this is a good like low entry level tone rattler. This is an affordable start to an expensive addiction here. It's tone approved rattlers.
The truth. It's true. I mean, we haven't done it yet, but you can get into like $10,000-$20,000 toners, and it's a wild world. And I have not. The most expensive one I think we've ever done is we've had about a $5,000 toner, and it was awesome. It's one of the coins we use as our background image on our website. So if you go to rarity7.com, that main graphic, that's one of the nicest and most expensive toners that we've ever had. So it's certainly a fun one. All right. Well, now let's move into what I call a tasting menu of 84 cc's. We have three of them, three interesting 84 cc's. And we've been covering the 84s quite well. We've got an MS63 OGH CAC. Oh, and you found this one. We've got an MS65 OGH CAC. Oh, and you found that one. And here's an MS66 with CAC approval. I bought this coin from a collector who traded in a bunch of his coins for a couple of our big boy coins, and this was one of the ones that he traded in. I was very pleased with this one. So, Owen, you want to tell us a little bit about these guys? What you think?
Yeah, I love these here. The two green labels, both CAC approved. The 63, nice collector grade coin here. The 65, I think, not a stretch to say that one might belong in a 66 holder. But again, we're happy to sell conservatively graded coins, and a very cool combo here with the old holder and CAC sticker. That would be pretty. That would not be fun to crack that coin out. That would hurt my heart.
Don't crack this one out. But you're right, and you're not going to get much of a boost between a 65 and a 66. I'll tell you that. And it wouldn't sticker as a 66, so you'd be hurting yourself. And this did sticker as a 66. Turns out there's actually a pretty big jump once you get into 66 with a sticker on these. This does add a significant amount of value. PCGS and NGC both can be a little trigger happy with their grades on these, and I think CAC keeps it, tries to keep the market in line on this. So a really nice example. Not a rare coin, right? The 84cc, millions of them were kept in bags. We've seen a lot of them out there, but probably the most generic of the Morgans that we offer here. But I think we try to keep it really interesting in the way that we did it. So anyway, kind of fun. Thanks for finding those OGHs. Well, we'll go to 85cc, and like we said, we're going to combine some of our loves, CC Morgans with deep mirror proof likes. And here's examples of both 85cc's. Here is a 62 deep mirror proof like, a really, really lovely coin, really great mirrors. We've talked about this before. 85 is some of the best made mirrors in the business. Carson City, they were at the kind of peak of their operation, and they really, really prepped these dies to come out with really fantastic coins. And then the 64 deep mirror proof, like, Owen, tell me what you think about this one. I mean, the mirrors on this one, I mean, when you guys take a look at the photograph, spectacular. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, I mean, this coin looks knockout from here. This is what you want to see when it comes to a dimple. You're looking for two primary things, which is reflectivity in the fields, which this coin, I mean, this thing looks like you could shave in it. And then you're looking for contrast, meaning that alongside the reflective fields, you want these really like white, frosty looking design elements. And this coin is just knockout in both regards. So this is exactly what you want to see. Again, the cheek on this one looks fantastic. The fields aren't too torn up. This is a really knockout example of a Carson City dollar here.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the only thing keeping this out of a 65, little mark in the field there, a little mark on the cheek when you go off angle. But other than that, you know, a truly knockout coin. And then the 62, I mean, even this one, I've seen 62s that seem a lot worse. This just did pick up a little bit of chatter in the field, but again, not an unpleasant looking coin, right?
No, this one looks wonderful as well. I think 62, again, is a very conservative number for it. That's why we bought it. So yeah, these are two great examples of these.
Fun examples of 85 Carsons. Okay, well, now we'll move into an 86 Morgan, a high grade one. Here is a 67 with a CAC sticker on it. And you snagged this one from us, I think, from an auction recently, Owen, because it was just a beautiful coin, reasonably priced. And when we see coins like this, we're like, well, we can't let this get away. You know, we gotta offer this coin and, you know, make a couple bucks on it. And for the time and effort we spend into hunting, but you nailed it on this one.
Yeah, I think this is a great example of an 1886. So it's a very common date Morgan, but kind of uncommon in this condition, especially with CAC approval. So if you look throughout here, there's really no abrasions that are worth mentioning. A little bit, a touch of unstruck planchet on the cheek maybe keeps it from being better. But an older PCGS holder, a wonderful coin without any, dark color. So a really attractive, pleasant coin here.
Okay, well, we'll move now to a 92cc, one of the tougher cc dates. Obviously, the 89cc being the top rarity, the 93cc being next. 79s are also good, but 92s are kind of up there. You know, they're certainly not as common as the 84s, the 83s, the 82s. They weren't stored in bags in such a way, and they weren't, they didn't make a major presence in the GSA hoard. So a tougher coin that saw a little bit of circulation, but was not otherwise really messed with. It's just got some of that. It's a true AU58, some friction in the fields, some friction in the cheek, but no major bag marks, no major hits or problems, and overall a very, very pleasing looking coin for a just slightly rubbed Carson City. Well, now we'll move into one of the New Orleans coins, and a awesome coin in an awesome grade. Here is the 96.0 AU58 plus with CAC approval. You know, the 58 plus being one of the kind of fun grades for PCGS, basically saying, look, this is not your run-of-the-mill 58. This is a choice 58, and CAC agreeing just a hair. You can see just a little friction on that cheek, just a hair away from uncirculated, but almost entirely uncirculated reverse, it looks like. I mean, barely anything, a little bit of weakness in the chest of the eagle. But I think this coin is really a slider. Is that right?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Like you said, I think the reverse, it's safe to say that it's fully uncirculated. And if you look at the cheek there, there's just the earliest high points of rub there is just turning a little bit gray. So a very interesting grade here. These are really sought after because of the way that PCGS registry sets work. There's a type called everyman sets where the coins are limited to AU58 plus. And AU58s are abundant in most coins, but 58 plus is just kind of a very unusual and rarely used grade. So these have enormous demand because of that registry set. So a really interesting coin here.
Yeah. And, I think there's about 20 or 30 of these in 58 plus. So not the toughest, but, certainly a super cool coin. And we're pleased to be able to offer it. All right. We'll move to a 98 Morgan. Fairly common, though slightly better, Philly date. Not one of, we're getting into the late 90s, right around the turn of the century. Nice 66 CAC. Not a ton to say about this coin, and that's not a negative. It's just a flashy, nice, white, satiny, good look to it coin. This is kind of what I would call a textbook 66 CAC. It doesn't have any significant color. It does have a little bit of those, that kind of spotting, which is just, natural surfaces from how the coins were stored, and a flashy CAC approved Gem Plus coin. So really nice. We'll then move to 030, which is we've talked about multiple times on the show, and we're going to, we won't have to give the whole example. You can go back and watch some prior episodes because I don't want to make you repeat your story every single time we do an 030, Owen. But here's an example of that tough, what once was an ultra rarity and now nice MS63 Morgan. Owen, one thing I'm noticing about this coin, and I especially noticed it when we photographed it, this has a lot more of that sort of flashy New Orleans look where you can kind of see that as you twirl the coin, you sometimes see the cheek rotates in a slightly different and opposite direction than the main cartwheel luster. I see these a lot on New Orleans coins. It has almost like multifaceted luster. I haven't seen a ton of 030s with this look, but I really like the look.
Yeah, this one's a little more brilliant than most 030s usually are. They usually have a more matte kind of frosty finish to them, which some people like, and if that's your thing, go buy one of those. But if you like coins that are more brilliant looking, a little more flashy, and like you noted, it has a little more nuanced luster to it. This is a really good example here. So kind of an unusual finish for one of these, and a really fun date of Morgan dollars. Like no one mentioned, this at one point was the single rarest date of Morgan dollar, and that all changed in the 1960s. So a really cool coin here.
Fun example. All right, well, now we'll move to a coin. We'll head into piece dollars. We're down to our last three coins, and two of them are piece dollars. This coin is all about the packaging. Very, very common coin. This is a 1923 piece dollar in MS64. This is what otherwise would be about a $60 coin. Very, very common. Maybe you get a $10 boost from that CAC sticker. You barely recuperate the cost of getting the sticker on a coin like this. However, this is all about the holder. This is a NGC second generation, known as the white label. I'll tell a quick history of the way these worked. NGC's first generation holder was exactly this, black core, so they didn't have white in the actual holder, and the coins were reversed mounted. So you would see this NGC, and you'd see the obverse of the coin here, and then it was almost like secondary on the reverse. You'd flip it over to learn about the stats on the coin. And they realized very quickly that both black is not the optimal way of showcasing the coins, and also that really people, when they look at the obverse of the coin, they want to understand. So they moved quickly to this second generation holder with this very plain white label. The only mention of NGC is the embossing on the reverse. And then it was later, in those later generations, where they moved to add the barcode, the NGC name on the obverse, and or the logo, and those are not nearly as collectible, but these white labels still command a premium. So every dollar on this coin over the $60 that you see it priced at is because of this green sticker and this holder. This is a plastic collector's coin. So I'm sorry we're not selling a rare coin, we are selling a rare holder on this example. All right, well, the second piece dollar we have tonight, a 34 piece dollar in MS66, a really, really fun and flashy coin with a little bit of color. I love this coin, Owen, and we bought this from a buddy of mine, a vest pocket guy, who is just one of the most fun people in this industry to work with. I love talking to him. He's super chill, and he always has great coins when he comes by our table. So, Mr. Curtis, you are always welcome, if you're watching this, to come by and show us coins. We love buying from you. Beautiful coin I got, and 34 Gem Plus 66 CAC. What do you think of this one, Owen?
Yeah, I really like this one. 1934 piece dollars, you can be pretty selective. The bad 1934 dollars are pretty bad. There's a lot of dull ones out there that are just like nasty and gross looking, but the nice ones are really nice. So I think it's a good example of a really pretty one. It has this like excellent matte luster throughout. Really, really striking luster here. I mean, if you like have this at a showcase at a coin show, this coin stands out. And the reverse is just excellent. No big marks on this that are distracting or anything. It has this like pleasant pastel color throughout. This is like everything you want to see on a 1934 piece dollar.
Superb. Beautiful looking coin. Love it. And pleased to offer this one. And then we'll move to our last coin. I'm so sorry that we only have one gold coin tonight. But the good news, Owen, it's your favorite. Gold dollar, 1852. And you found this one, MS64, well-deserved CAC sticker. So I figure if we're going to have only one gold coin, it better be an Owen Seymour favorite to make up for all those trade dollars. What do you think of this one?
Yeah, this one's really solid. I picked this one out. It wasn't CAC sticker when we bought it, but I took a look at it, and I noted like it had really nice color throughout. I think it was all there for 64 in my opinion. We sent it to CAC, they agreed. So I don't think there's anything to dislike about this one. Again, not breaking any registry records, but if you're looking for a really nice CAC approved example for a registry set, this is an excellent option here.
Yeah, you nailed it on this one.
Not going to break the bank, but drop that original, nice color. Excellent example here.
Well, that concludes our batch of new coins. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Owen, thank you for your wonderful commentary. Again, it's really fun doing these videos. We always learn a little bit. We learned about the Buffalo Nickel key dates while doing this, and it was really fun to talk. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. And these are all live for sale on the website. You can catch a link down in the description. If you've stuck with us for this long, thanks. We really appreciate you, the support, and we appreciate you watching. And I'm going to say the generic YouTube thing. Like and subscribe, because we'd love you to get notifications when we have new videos. I don't really care if you like or subscribe. You know, we're just making these videos for fun, but certainly would be appreciated. The support is appreciated. So thanks, everybody. Owen, thank you, and we'll see you at a show soon.